From your ears to your heart, we bring the light of knowledge to illuminate your life. Ilmwaves.com, where we make ilm possible.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala rasulillah. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla, wa anta ya hayyu ya qayyum taj'alul hazna idha shi'ta sahla. I start off by praising Allah, Lord of the worlds, and I humbly ask Him to raise the rank of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and protect his nation from that which he fears for it. Thereafter, brothers and sisters, I remind myself and you to have the sincere intention, for verily the good deeds will be rewarded for the individual who is mukhlis, the one who is sincere, the one who does the good deeds seeking the reward from Allah Ta'ala only. And know that a person, if he combines his intention, his niyyah, with pleasing the people or being praised by them or being seen as someone knowledgeable, then know that this person is falling into a major sin. And Ibn Ruslan said in one of his books about the intention, he said, فَصَحِّحِ النِّيَّةَ قَبْلَ الْعَمَلِ وَتِي بِهَا مَقْرُونَةً بِالْأَوَّلِ. This means correct your intention before you do the good deed and have it combined from the beginning. So before you do the good deed, make sure you have the good intention, and then when you actually do the good deed, make sure you have it combined from the beginning of your act of obedience. So because having the sincere intention is a condition for the deed to be accepted, it is extremely important for the individual when he is endeavoring in any type of good deed that he reminds himself that he is doing this for the sake of Allah. And having the sincere intention for the sake of Allah only has great benefits and has a great reward, and it has a lot of secrets in it as well. There was one of the scholars of Islam, he was asked by one of his students, does the sincere intention of the teacher have an effect on the understanding of the student? And to that the scholar replied, Kayfa la, how can it not? So having the sincere intention does have an effect on an individual, and it has an effect on the people around him also. Subhanallah. May Allah Ta'ala make us among those who are sincere and do the deeds only for His sake. Ameen. So the last time we left off, we were on the fourth hadith of Abu Zakaria Muhyiddin Yahya ibn Sharaf al-Nawawi, the great scholar of al-Nawawi. We reached the fourth hadith. And we reached a part where we talked about his rizq. That was the last thing we mentioned. We talked about that among the things that were written on the individual when he is in the womb of his mother is his rizq, is his sustenance. And then after that, the Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَجَلِهِ, that among the things that are also written is the time of death. So yes, brothers and sisters, among the things that have already been decreed and already is written is our time of death. We are all going to die, and the time of that occurrence is known to Allah, and it is already written. وَأَجَلِهِ, the time of death. Well, ajib, and the strange thing, brothers and sisters, is how a person can understand and realize that he is going to die, but yet he falls into sins, and yet he is negligent of that matter, and he does not prepare for the hereafter. How an individual can realize and understand that yes, I am going to die, there's no avoiding it, but how a person can, after knowing this, not work towards doing the good deeds. How a person cannot work and do the good deeds that lead him to paradise. And this is among the strange things. And may Allah Ta'ala protect us from this negligence, and protect us from the deviation of the shaitan, where he plays tricks on us and misguides us and leads us to things which do not benefit us and makes us forget. Subhanallah, he tries to make us forget that we are going to die. And the great Imam and scholar, Imam Ahmad al-Rifa'i, he said, وَلَعَجَبُ مِمَّنْ يَعْلَمُ أَنَّهُ يَمُوتْ كَيْفَ يَنْسَى الْمَوْتِ. And how strange is it for the person that knows that he is going to die, that he forgets about death. Subhanallah. And he said, وَالْعَجَبُ مِمَّنْ يَعْلَمُ أَنَّهُ مُفَارِقٌ لِلدُّنْيَا كَيْفَ يَنْكَبُّ عَلَيْهَا وَيَقْطَعُ أَيَّامَهُ بِمَحَبَّتِهَا. And how strange is it for the person that knows that he is going to leave this dunya, how he can put all his effort and love into it. يُضَيِّعُونَ الْأَوْقَاتِ بِاللَّهْوِ وَالنِّسْيَانِ وَيَقْطَعُونَ الْأَيَّامَ بِالْغَفْلَةِ وَالْعِصْيَانِ. That these people who have the characteristic that they forget about death, what do? They waste their time by laughing, and they waste their time by negligence and by falling into sin. Subhanallah. مِزَاحُهُمْ مِزَاحُ مَنْ أَمِنَ النَّدَامَةِ. And when they laugh, their laugh is like the person who has no worries. وَلَهْوُهُمْ لَهْوُ مَنْ لَمْ يَسْمَعْ بِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. And when they play and they do their games, they play as if they have never heard of the Day of Judgment. كأنهم إلى القبور لا ينظرون. And it is as if they do not even look to the graves. Do they not look to the cemeteries? وبمن سكنها لا يعتبرون. And they do not take a lesson from those people who are inside the cemeteries, inside the graves. فإنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. To Allah we belong and to Him we shall return. Subhanallah. These are some very beautiful and powerful words from this great scholar, the one who takes this into his heart and he contemplates the meanings. This will change his life. Subhanallah. وَالْعَجَبُ مِمَّنْ يَعْلَمُ أَنَّهُ يَمُوتُ كَيْفَ يَنْسَى الْمَوْتِ. How strange is it for the person who knows that he is going to die, that he forgets about death. How strange is this? How astonishing is this? And this does not befit a person to understand and recognize that something is guaranteed and then forget about it. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. So our time of death, brothers and sisters, is appointed and we cannot change it. We cannot add to that time and we cannot decrease from it. And the scary thing is that we do not know when we are going to die. If I were to ask any one of you, who knows when they are going to die or how they're going to die or where they are going to die, they do not know. No one can raise their hand and say, I know when I'm going to die. And this is the scary thing, brothers and sisters. This is something that's frightening, and this is a matter when a person, he thinks about it, it should change his life. That tomorrow might be his last day on earth. Or maybe even after this lesson, who knows? Allahu Akbar. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. And this is the scary thing, brothers and sisters. And we need to work for hereafter. We need to work for paradise. Allah the Exalted said in the Quran, وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتُ. And the nafs, the individual, does not know where he is going to die. The individual does not know where he is going to die. So the fact that we do not know where or when this is going to happen, we need to strive and work for paradise as if we see it. And take advantage of every moment, every breath, every day, every hour, every minute, every second. Ya ahbabana, we need to exploit and take advantage of every moment, every opportunity that we have alive. وَهَذَا شِيَمُ الْمُتَّقِينَ. And this is the habit, the characteristics, the traits of the pious people. They do not take for granted their life, and they take advantage of every opportunity. Every moment they have, they look at themselves. How can I increase in ibadah? How can I do something more? Right? This is how they look at themselves, and they accuse themselves of falling short in worship. And this is how they get to praying 1,000 rak'ahs or more than that. MashaAllah. There was actually once one of the pious people, the awliya, he would walk and then he would pray 2 rak'ahs. He would think to himself, Alhamdulillah, I'm alive, let me pray, let me take advantage. So he would stop and he would pray. Then he would continue walking and then he would pray another 2 rak'ahs. Because he would realize to himself, Alhamdulillah, I'm alive, let me do something. And he would pray. And this is what he would do. He would keep on doing this. He would keep walking, then he would realize, I'm alive, let me take advantage, let me pray. Then he would walk some more, then he realized, I'm still alive, let me take advantage and let me pray. Until he prayed 1,000 rak'ahs. Allahu Akbar. He reached 1,000 rak'ahs. How did he do this? With his motivation and his understanding and recognizing that each moment is an opportunity for a person to do a good deed. And subhanallah, we as Muslims fall short in prayers and even making dhikr. Sometimes hours pass by and we are just sitting there and we can make dhikr. There's nothing preventing us from making dhikr, but we just are negligent and we forget about it. May Allah Ta'ala guide us towards doing the good deed and make us among those pious people. Ameen. And like we said earlier, you cannot add or decrease from your appointed time of death. Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. When the appointed time of death comes, the person cannot delay it, nor can he bring it forward. And this is the reality of the situation, brothers and sisters. Our time of death is appointed, it is written, we cannot add and we cannot decrease from it. Now there is a Sahih Hadith that was narrated by Imam al-Bukhari and others, and this is a Hadith where some people misinterpret. And this is a Hadith that some people take out of context. And they use this Hadith to prove that if a person wants to live longer, and if he wants more rizq than he was originally appointed for him, then let him do this good deed. And this is how they interpret it. And as we mentioned earlier, brothers and sisters, and there are many hadith and many verses, explicit verses in the Quran, which state that a person cannot increase or delay his time of death. Right? So when you have these other narrations and these other proofs all at once, you have to interpret them in a way that does not contradict. Right, so this is hadith. This next hadith that I'm going to mention is among those hadith that people they misinterpret and they take out of context, and by doing so, it leads to contradiction. And the religion does not contradict, ya ahbabana, rather people contradict. Right? There's no contradiction in the hadith of the Prophet nor the Quran, but when you have people, they have their own understandings and they interpret it wrongly, then this leads to contradiction due to the understanding of these people. So this hadith is من أحب أن ينسأ له في أثره ويوسع له في رزقه فليصل رحمه. Now the meaning of this hadith is that the one who wants barakah in his life and his time, and the one who wants barakah in his rizq, in his sustenance, then let him visit and keep ties with his kin. This is the meaning of the hadith. The one who wants blessings, barakah in his life and his time, and wants barakah and blessings in his rizq, in his sustenance, in his wealth, in the things that he owns, then let him keep ties with his kin. MashaAllah. This is the meaning of the hadith. However, some people take this hadith out of context and they take it literally, and they say the meaning of it is the one who wants to increase his life and the one who wants to increase his rizq, then let him visit his kin. Now we know, brothers and sisters, that from the fundamental belief and from the foundations and the principles is that whatever Allah Ta'ala willed to be, shall be, and nothing changes it. Allah Ta'ala, His will does not change. So if Allah Ta'ala, the Exalted, willed for you to have a certain amount of rizq, you will have that certain amount, and nothing will decrease and nothing will add to it. And if Allah, the Exalted, willed for you to live a certain amount of time, you will live that time, no more and no less. Right? This is from the principle of the belief of the Muslims. So some people, they take this hadith literally and they take it out of context. And like I mentioned earlier, the meaning of the hadith is the one who wants barakah, who wants blessings in his time and blessings in his rizq, then let him visit his kin. I honestly don't understand how people say that and how they understand that from this hadith. If an individual were to contemplate and think about what they were saying, they would realize, it doesn't make sense. If Allah willed for something and I did something and I did a good deed, I'm going to change the will of Allah? No, of course not. Am I more powerful than Allah? A'udhu billah. No, of course not. If Allah willed for something to happen, it's going to happen, and what you do does not change that. This is from the fundamental belief of Muslims all over the world, ya ahbabana. And you know how a person has barakah in their time? This is the meaning of this hadith. There are many individuals who they don't live for a long time, but they have a lot of blessing in their time. For example, Imam al-Nawawiyy, the author of these hadith, of this book that we are going over, Imam al-Nawawiyy, he lived for 43 years. Right? He died at the age of 43. And look how much barakah and blessings he has. He did not live that long. Only 43 years, ya ahbabana. 43 years, and look to what he accomplished. This is an example of an individual who Allah Ta'ala put barakah in his time. And this is the meaning of a hadith. Also, the Hafid as-Suyuti, he had a lot of barakah in his time. He authored 600 books. 600 books, ya ahbabana, and there wasn't a field of knowledge except that he authored in it. This is an example of an individual also who had barakah, had blessings in their time. And this is the meaning of the hadith. If an individual wants barakah and wants blessing in their time, then let him perform this good deed. It doesn't mean that a person will change what Allah Ta'ala appointed for him just because he did that good deed. What you are meant to have is already written and you cannot change it. And in the continuation of the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna ahadakum la ya'malu bi'amali ahli al-jannah." That a person, that one of you will do the apparent good deeds of the people of paradise, حَتَّى مَا يَكُونُ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهَا إِلَّا ذِرَاعٌ, until the point that there is only an arm's distance between him and paradise. And of course, this is metaphorically, it's not literal. And this is an example that the Arabs use to show that a person is very close to achieving something. And then it says in the hadith, فَيَسْبِقُ عَلَيْهِ الْكِتَابِ فَيَعْمَلُ بِعَمَلِ أَهْلِ النَّارِ فَيَدْخُلُهَا. And then what Allah Ta'ala willed to happen occurs, and then he starts doing the deeds of the people of hellfire until he enters hellfire. May Allah protect us from it. Now over here, brothers and sisters, an individual who does the good deeds, who does the acts of obedience, and he is constant and consistently doing it, and he's performing it correctly, these deeds will benefit him. But over here we have an example. The Prophet ﷺ very beautifully and articulately illustrates for us the example of an individual who is outwardly showing that he is performing apparent good deeds.
He apparently is performing the siyam, the fasting. He apparently is performing the salat, the prayer. But he is doing something wrong that is affecting him from obtaining the thawab of those acts of obedience. Maybe it's insincerity. Maybe it can be something else that he's performing that prevents him from obtaining that thawab. So over here, brothers and sisters, we have an example of an individual who apparently is doing the deeds of the good deeds of the people of paradise, but he is doing something wrong in his ibadah. So what happens to this individual? He enters hellfire. May Allah Ta'ala protect us from it. His final destination is hellfire. Even though in this dunya, he apparently seemed that he was going to be among the people of paradise, but Allah Ta'ala willed for him to not be among them, so he will enter hellfire. Subhanallah. And there are many examples, brothers and sisters, of individuals who apparently you would think that they would be among the people of paradise, but then what happens? Their situation changes and they enter hellfire. Subhanallah. There are many examples. Like the pious man who saw a person at the Kaaba, he was clinging to the covers of the Kaaba and he was making one dua. He was only making one dua and he was saying, "Oh Allah, make me die as a Muslim. Oh Allah, make me die as a Muslim." And this was the only dua that he was saying. So this pious man went up to him and asked him, "Why is it that you are only saying this? You can say many other things, but why is it that you are only saying this? What is your story? What is your story? Did something happen to you?" Then he said, "Yes, something happened to me. We were 3 brothers. My oldest brother used to make the adhan at the masjid for 40 years. For 40 years he would make the adhan. He would make the adhan and he wouldn't even get paid for it. And then before he died, he asked us to bring him the Qur'an. So we brought him the Qur'an and we thought that he was going to make tabarruk with it. So he took the Qur'an and he said, "No, that I have nothing to do with this book." Subhanallah. He said, "No, that I have nothing to do with this book." And the same thing happened to his second brother, he said. Also my second brother, he used to make adhan for 17 years. And the same thing happened to him before he passed away. He told us to bring the Qur'an, and we thought that he was going to make tabarruk with it. And then he told us, "No, that I have nothing to do with this book." Subhanallah. So because of that, this individual used to fear that he would die in the same situation. Now this pious man, he's intelligent and he knows that maybe they were falling into some type of sin. So he asked him, "Is there a certain sin that they were falling into consistently?" And he said, "Yes, they used to do tatabbu' awrat an-nas." And this means that they used to follow the faults and the defects of the individuals and they would expose the people. This is what they used to do. They would seek the faults of the people and they would expose it. For example, this person has this type of aib, this person has this other aib, this other fault, and they would expose it. And this was a result of that. So what happened to them at the end was from the negative consequences and the results of those sins that they were falling into. Subhanallah. May Allah protect us from that. Allahu Akbar. So this is a very clear and good example of an individual, of 2 individuals who you would think they would die as Muslims. You would think that they would be from the people of paradise. One of the brothers made adhan for 40 years. And the other brother made adhan for 17 years. So you would think that they would be dying as Muslims. But subhanallah, what Allah Ta'ala willed to happen, happened. And they died in that state of blasphemy. May Allah protect us. Ameen. And we also might have the opposite, brothers and sisters. The vice versa also applies. You might have an individual who apparently he is among the people of hellfire, meaning that you look at him and you see him drowning in sins. He's falling into fornication, in adultery, in backbiting. He's falling into every type of sin. But subhanallah, what happens? What Allah Ta'ala will to occur occurs, and all of a sudden you see that this person is among the people of paradise. He changes his situation, he becomes a better Muslim, he starts praying, he starts doing a lot of the obligations, and he does a lot of the recommended matters, and he dies as a Muslim and he dies in a good state. Subhanallah. And what better example than Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. He used to say about himself that before he embraced Islam, that there wasn't a person that he hated more than Muhammad. And then after he embraced Islam, he said that there wasn't a person that I love more than the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. And also another great example is the Roman leader who came to Khalid ibn Walid during the battle of Yarmouk. And he said, "Ya Khalid, how did you get the name Sayfullah, the sword of Allah? Was it that Allah sent down a sword from the sky and you used that in the battles and that is how you are victorious? Is that how you got the name? And Khalid ibn Walid, he answered him. And then this Roman leader asked him, how does a person embrace Islam? So Khalid taught him how to embrace Islam, and he embraced Islam, mashallah. Then this Roman leader took a shower, he prayed 2 rak'ahs, and he died fighting the Roman army. Allahu Akbar. This is another great example of an individual who you would think that he's going to die as a non-Muslim, he's going to be among the people of hellfire, but his situation changes because that is what Allah willed, and he dies as a Muslim and he enters paradise, mashallah. And also the story of the man who wanted to participate in the battle, in the jihad, because of some relatives of his that were participating. Even though he wasn't a Muslim, but he had some people from his tribe that were participating and they were Muslims, and he wanted to help them and he wanted to fight with them. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, should I fight then embrace Islam, or should I embrace Islam then fight? The Prophet ﷺ told him, Aslim thumma qatil, which means embrace Islam then fight. So he embraced Islam and he fought, and then he died in the battlefield as a martyr. And the Prophet ﷺ said about him, عَمِلَ قَلِيلًا وَأُجِرَ كَثِيرًا, which means he did a little but he will be rewarded greatly. Why? Because he did not live as a Muslim for a long period of time. Imagine, he asked the Prophet and he embraced Islam right then, and then he fought. MashaAllah. And he got the martyr, he got the Shahada in the same day. So he was not living as a Muslim for a long period of time. But despite that fact, he will be rewarded greatly because he died as a martyr. He obtained the Shahada. MashaAllah. And there are many examples, brothers and sisters, of people who you think would be among the people of hellfire, among the inhabitants of hellfire, but their situation changes because Allah willed for them to be among the people of paradise, and drastically, subhanallah, you see them doing the good deeds and they die as Muslims. MashaAllah. And of course, this hadith does not encourage a person to leave out doing the good deeds. Because a person, sometimes he might think, or the shaitan comes to him and tries to play with him and says, okay, if the people of hellfire are already written to be among the people of hellfire, why should you do any of the good deeds? If you're destined to be among them, you will be among them. Why should you do any of the good deeds? And vice versa. And this is of course a trick from the shaitan, and this is something a person should not pay any heed to. And ya ahbabana, an indication that a person is on the right path is that he seeks to do the good deeds. And an indication that a person is not on the right path is that he falls into sins. So of course we have to strive for it, ya ahbabana. We have to do the good deeds, because the deeds will be causes for us to enter paradise, insha'Allah ta'ala. And once the Prophet ﷺ came out, and he was holding 2 books. And the companions asked him, what are these books? And the Prophet ﷺ informed them that one of these books is the names of the people of paradise, and the other book is the name of the people of hellfire. So then the companions asked him, O Messenger of Allah, should we do the good deeds? Meaning, if this is the case, if this is the situation that everything is already written and our names are already there in these books, then should we perform the good deeds? And the Prophet ﷺ said, اعملوا فكل ميسر لما خلق له. This means strive, endeavor, put the effort, work, perform the good deeds. فَكُلٌّ مُيَسَّرٌ لِمَا خُلِقَ لَهُ. And everyone will obtain what Allah Ta'ala willed for them to obtain. And in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is clearly showing and teaching us that even though everything is written and predestined, we still need to work by the causes, ya ahbabana. We still need to perform the good deeds, and we need to do the things that will lead us to paradise. Which means we have to perform the good deeds, the acts of obedience, and asking Allah Ta'ala to reward us for these good deeds, and insha'Allah we will be among the people of paradise. And insha'Allah, barakallahu feekum, brothers and sisters, we will stop here. This concludes the second portion of the 4th hadith. And insha'Allah, in our next lesson, we will continue on to the 5th hadith, bi'idhnillah. I ask Allah Ta'ala to reward you and your families and protect you and your families, and gather us with the Prophets and the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam in paradise, and with the pious people, insha'Allah Ta'ala. Ameen. And I remind you to make dua for us and to visit our websites and to support our initiatives and our projects that we have engaged in. And I ask Allah Ta'ala to make this a great benefit for the Muslims. Ameen. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you liked it, check out the rest of our series. And donate for the sake of Allah so that we may continue spreading the obligatory knowledge to Muslims all over the world. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah accept your deeds.